Welcome back to another episode of our High Flyers in STEM Greatness Has No Gender podcast, where we honour the incredible journeys of women in STEM. I'm your host, Deirdre Finnerty. We're excited to have a fantastic lineup in the studio today of great female leaders from TE Connectivity. Deirdre Hardiman, R&D Engineering Manager, Colleen Markland, PMO Leader for EMEA, and Marilyn Bane, Production Supervisor. We'll talk of bold and brave shifts, from singing and acting to leading teams as a production supervisor, to breaking stereotypes at an early age and rising to a career in engineering management. These great leaders pay tribute to the invaluable support and mentorship they receive from their company, TE Connectivity, and how their commitment to equality and inclusion has empowered them in leadership, proving that passion and skill, not gender, determines success. Thank you to our sponsors, HERO, a multi-award-winning company that specialises in financial success for contractors, freelancers and solopreneurs. Let's dive into today's inspiring conversation. Welcome, ladies. Thanks so much for joining us on Greatness Has No Gender, and welcome. We have Marilyn, Deirdre and Colleen, and we're just going to chat a little bit about Greatness Has No Gender, about your journeys, what's kind of got you to senior leadership roles in your company at the moment, and then we'll chat a little bit about TE and your incentives around ED&I and what you kind of do and the diversity in the business and that as well. I guess we'd kick off, I suppose, sharing a little bit about how you got into STEM. Colleen, do you want to have a chat and tell me about your journey? Was it traditional? Or?
My dad worked in IT years ago. He worked for Northern Telecom, which became Nortel Networks after that. So there was always a computer in our house at home. He built his own computers, bought the parts and built his own PCs at home. So it was a time when there was no computers in everyone's house. There was no Xboxes or Switches or PlayStations, but he would bring home computer games that we could play, Duke Nukem and all these games. So it sparked the interest early on. When I came to applying for a degree in university, then it kind of was just a natural progression just to go into IT because I'd just grown up with it the whole time. Did science in information technology in UCG here in Galway. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
And straight into industry after that then?
I came out really at a bad time because there was no jobs at the time. So I started off lecturing actually in Dublin initially and doing computer training for corporate clients. I just fell into it because I was a swimming instructor, so I had that teaching ability. So that's how I started off. Bit of an unusual start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A bit of coaching and teaching has always been in you then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, really good. Marilyn, how's your journey been?
So my journey is sort of a backwards journey, you could call it. I started off in acting and singing. So that's what I did in college and had a career in that for 10 years, roughly. And my background is also farming. So I'm a part-time farmer as well. At home, we have the cows and the horses and the whole lot. So my journey with TE started off 6 years ago. So I came in at an operator level and worked my way up through the company that way. So it was really an unusual jump for me. And I really didn't know anything about STEM before that. Mm-hmm. And it was a learning experience. And definitely when I got in there, I realised a whole new world was there and the opportunities were endless, really, you know. So when I realised what was available to me, I started to kind of put in place different things, and now I'm back in education as well and back doing another degree. Yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment. So I'm at the beginning of my journey, really, I suppose, in TE, as you could call it. You know, I'm only 6 years there, which is not that long considering some people's career spans. That's where I am at the moment, and I'm production supervisor now. So that's...
And what are you doing your degree in at the moment then?
Business management.
Have you a long journey ahead, or is it early stages?
It's in the middle stages. So
okay, nearly that.
Yeah, halfway there. Yeah, going really well. Yeah,
brilliant. I think we'll have to get your story too.
Yeah.
How did your journey begin?
For me, when I was a child, I just always had a natural aptitude for maths, for problem solving, for puzzles with mechanical bits and pieces, for moving, for, you know, the likes of Tetris or 3D visualization stuff. So that was really always my strength in school. I was strong in maths, strong in physics, strong in technical drawing, all of that technical kind of stuff. So when I got to, say, that time in your teenage years when you're trying to decide what you want to be, for me, that's where I wanted to go. That's where my strengths were. I'm a firm believer that you should do what you enjoy. Find yourself a job with something that you enjoy or something that you're comfortable in, because that's what you will naturally be good at. And that's where I was. Now, when I was in school, I did at one point have a teacher who tried to encourage me, shall we say, towards arts. Not a core skill for me. I mean, I'm not bad at it, but I certainly would not be an English teacher. But for me, actually, I think that person was choosing a career based on my gender. So I was in a mixed school and there was a strong encouragement of all females to do arts. So therefore you could become teachers, I guess, because isn't that a lovely career for a woman? But I was, you know, looking at the piece of paper in front of me and looking at results, it's like, really? So STEM was always what my core skills were, really, to be honest. So I went with engineering, despite the encouragement towards something else. But I know I followed what I was good at, to be honest. I did a degree in mechanical engineering in UL, and then came out into industry for a few years and subsequently did a master's in biomedical engineering while I was working. I've just worked my way up through various levels of engineering, spent some time in project management, and now I'm engineering manager within our NPD team, so our new product team.
And is there engineering in your family or in your background?
My dad is a draftsman, or when he was working, he was a draftsman. So he was very particular, I guess, about maths when we were all kids, and he was very particular about drawing. And, you know, when we used to go, not that we went that often, but every now and again we might go to his work. He forgot something. We went in on Saturday to get it, but like he had a big, huge drawing desk. And it always used to fascinate me, to be honest. But my sister's also an engineer. So she's a couple of years older than me, and she's also an engineer. So it was nurtured into us. It was what we were surrounded by, yeah.
And that's it with young kids now, when they say moms and teachers are really huge influencers in what we do down the line. So it's just interesting to see kind of what kind of background was there, because we don't all end up waking up and going, you know, when we're 6 or 7, but not being an engineer. Some people think something slightly different. But it's lovely to see so many different journeys and different paths. And I suppose from everyone I've spoken to over the last few days, nearly every single person has come through a different route, but has found their background. And back to what you said, Deirdre, find out what you love and do it. Follow that. Yeah. And then it's never a job. When you think about challenges and opportunities throughout your career, and you think about, like, is it luck? Is it hard work? Is it the right place at the right time? Or is it a combination of all three? What do you think around that?
I think luck might have a part to play at the very start, but really it's the hard work you put in and mostly the choices you make along the way. So choices will come up as you go through your career, and you may have to take a lateral move or a step back in your career to progress further, and making those changes makes all the difference, really, I think. I remember in 2008 there was a property crash here in Ireland, as you'll remember, and we had lost our jobs in Dublin, and it was like, right, what do we do now? Move back to Galway. The decision to move back to Galway to take a step back in career was huge. Myself and my now husband, both of us taking a step backwards. So we decided to do it, though, and I started in what was Craigana now we're TE 16 years ago. So I started there as a project administrator and moved up and within the company and through project management. So that decision was a great decision, but at the time I didn't know what to do, and it's difficult to decide at the time. But I think it's all the choices you make along the way and the hard work that you put in, upskilling along the way as you go.
It's a lot about hard work. Yeah. I mean, you can think, sometimes people say, oh, I was lucky that I had a great boss. And well, actually, giving away the luck like that, or calling it luck like that, you're giving away your own strength. You're giving away, it was your ability that got you, and maybe the boss who identified it, but it's your own ability that got you to where you need to get. It wasn't luck. You know, if you work hard and you have the ability, then luck is only a small part of it, if any part. Credit yourself with that. You yourself, that's what got you there. It's not luck.
Yeah, and it's Colleen, it'll get you so far, it'll keep you there.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you create the opportunities.
You do.
Yourself. Why, exactly what you were saying, hard work and dedication, and you work towards your goals. And, you know, if some people call it luck, that's okay. But definitely from our perspectives, I think we all agree that we work really hard towards those goals, and that's creating your luck, really, isn't it?
And you're quite new to STEM, but do you ever have this imposter syndrome?
Yeah. We talked about this yesterday. Absolutely. I think a lot of people can relate to that. The key is when that comes along, you might be in a meeting or doing a presentation or whatever it may be, you think, oh God, am I as capable as the people I'm speaking to here? Do I have the knowledge? And it's instilling yourself that confidence that actually I have worked hard for this. I am just as capable as the people in this room. I have the knowledge and I have learned these skills throughout my time, and I'm well able to deliver whatever content it may be or whatever platform it's on. And it's to believe in yourself. You know, I think that's something that we all struggle with as women and as people in business, that, you know, you do doubt yourself sometimes. God, am I sure? Are you sure of yourself? But really it's experience as well. I think when you're, you know, in certain roles for lengths of time, you start to grow that experience and get that confidence in yourself. And I suppose for us, it's the key that we bring other people into that and try and instill confidence in the people coming up with us now, that other women and men, that we instill that confidence in them and build people and build ourselves up even, and not be selling ourselves short as well.
So how do you contradict that voice? Is it by having a number of voices?
To really bring out the crazy. Don't listen to that voice. Absolutely. Just reminding yourself that you're more than capable to do it, and reminding yourself that you have that experience behind you and you can do it 100%. Just blocking out the other voices, for sure.
Yeah. If you label it and go, right, because I know when it happens to me and it creeps in quite a lot, label it and go, right, that's imposter syndrome. Push that inner critic away and move those thoughts away and just focus on the job. You deserve to be here. Exactly what you're saying. I think feedback from other people as well. You know, the people who put you in the job there have belief in you and have faith in you. And sometimes I forget about that, and I need to listen to that and go, right, there's a reason I'm here, you know. So listening to that feedback from other people is really important as well.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned the mentorship, that you having it and giving it back to someone else. Exactly. That's really key. They're the voices we should be listening to. It's helped me in the past as well, like you said, Colleen, receiving that feedback when you get it, but also to give it to other people coming up, to make sure to remember to do that when you see someone doing a good job or they presented really well in something that you say, that was really good, well done, you know? It could be just something so simple as that will drive that person onto the next level.
Yeah.
What do you think of being kind of a mom in the workplace? Like 6 kids for school, holidays, and does it add value nearly to you as a leader? What are your thoughts?
You definitely get a superpower after being a mom, and I think it's efficiency and time management and how to prioritise your day and your life and maintain your family life at home and your job, and your being a mom and you're a sister and you're a wife. You have to do everything. So I think you really become really efficient with your time within work and at home as well. But flexibility becomes really important, I think, when you become a mom as well. It's one of the most important things within your role, really, because you do need that time off if one of them is sick and you need to be able to work from home. And that's what's great about TE. We do, within certain roles, we do have that flexibility as well. At the moment, I'm working a parental day. I take a parental day on a Friday, so I'm working a 4-day week. I have that day on Friday where I can walk the kids to school because I'm not in a rush, and I can pick them up the gate. They don't have to go to after school, and they can do activities or have play dates. So I have that flexibility. And so I think that's really important.
And I think it's nice for the kids to see that you can do both. You can be a good mom or a good parent and have a career as well. And I think that's really important.
It is important. And I think sometimes, though, we try to do everything. So we need to be careful that there has to be a balance at home as well. So there has to be more of a, let's share that out at home, because you can't just take things the way they were 30 years ago and throw a female career on top of it and expect everything to stay the same. But I think things have changed in that sense, but it's the same for dads, right? There's a balance there. Kids get sick, kids need to be collected. You know, it's the same for dads. And I think that sometimes maybe moms get called first from the school every time. Moms get called by the creche. But offering the flexibility and accepting the flexibility, whether you're male or female, can give a lot in terms of bolstering females in the workplace. Because if the men go, sorry, listen, I have to go home because my child is sick, then it balances it up a little bit in the workplace. And it's not just, oh God, there's the mom off again because she's got to pick up her kids. It's an equal role, and that's life. Kids will get sick. It's only for not a short period of time. It's for a couple of years, but it's not, as Anne said the other day, it's not forever. But yeah, I mean, it does. It makes you very efficient when you're at work. But if you have to leave at 5:30 or 5 o'clock because you've a kid to pick up, you have to be very time efficient, and you have to be very conscious of, I suppose, what you do with your time during the day. But when you leave, then you leave and you go.
I think it does add value as well, in a way that from a leadership perspective, if you're leading a group of people, you do have this new empathy towards people that you may be managing, if you have that broader understanding as well. Before I was a mom, I definitely can say now from the other side that I didn't have that overview of the challenges of having a small baby at home. I have a 1.5-year-old at home, you know, and now I can totally relate to people who have challenges trying to organise schedules, things like that. And you do have, you know, more empathy with your people that are reporting into you, and you can have a lot better relationship with them because you have that understanding and that empathy with them. So that's one of the values that I've definitely taken from it as well.
Yeah,
so but there is good parts to it. And I think it's the flexibility. It's like you have to go, but you might give an hour later if you have.
Absolutely. You know, and I think COVID actually really helped in terms of that, because when COVID hit, as traumatic and crazy as it was at the time, it suddenly opened up the world for, actually, hold on a second, we don't all need to be sitting at our desk until 5:30 every evening. Actually, you can flex your day a little bit, and it turns out people can work at home in certain roles just as effectively as they can at the office. So I think that really helped.
Yes.
Because now, yeah, exactly, if you have to go, you go, but then there's always the rest of the evening. And it's now a little bit more acceptable. Not acceptable, not to say that it wasn't acceptable, but it's a little bit easier because it's the norm when there's someone working at home anyway.
And I think so. And I think even knowing yourself when you leave, but you've got a couple of bits to do, knowing that you have the ability to jump on at home.
Exactly.
You've got the setup there that it's not playing on your mind overnight. You can complete something a little bit later and move on. When you, like we talk about opportunities to address the gender balance in STEM, and I know TE are doing great strides in relation to that, and they're really looking at enhancing gender diversity. They're looking at the hiring initiatives. You've got ambassador programs, and gender diversity is 60-40, I think, at the moment, male to female, but aiming to get towards 50-50, which is great because I think overall it's 24% of the workforce worldwide, which is quite low. So you're definitely going in the right direction, which is great to see. And I think of that, 33%, of TEs are female leadership. So that's also changing. So I think there's definitely certain things that you're doing to kind of get that balance right. Can you talk me through a couple of them, or a couple of the incentives that TE are doing?
As a business, I have to say, I'm very impressed with how inclusion and diversity is approached within the business. So last year, we have core values, and inclusion was actually added as one of the company values. And it really speaks volume to the investment from the company and the interest in the company and actually driving change. So, there's a lot of talk about diversity, and then diversity became inclusion because it's great to be diverse, but actually you have to bring all of the diversity in on the conversation and include everybody in it. So there's a lot of work being done. Like we have the ambassador program, as you were talking about, females in STEM for one part. So we sponsor graduates coming through university in STEM with a view to promoting female in engineering. And then if you sponsor them, and then we bring in co-ops and we bring in graduates. So we're in our 4th year of the graduate cycle. So you bring in graduate engineers, and we have a rotating program within the business where the graduates will go through different functions within the organisation. And I think it's a 50-50 split at this point in time in terms of male and female to promote diversity. We've lots of ERG groups. So there's WIN, which is the Women in Networking. There's the TE Young Professionals one. There's an Align one. There's lots of ERGs to promote diversity and to promote all of the different cultures that we have within the organisation, which is excellent. And ultimately, promoting diversity and promoting inclusion, it drives engagement, so it becomes a nicer place to work. Mm-hmm. It has been proven that the more diverse your workforce, the greater your innovation will be, because you get different people around at the table, and different people will look at problems differently, so they'll solve problems differently. So actually, not only is it a nicer place to be, but actually businesses do better because you're more innovative and business is better. It's excellent. And in terms of when you employ, like people who have families, so be it moms or dads, there's flexibility depending on your role. We've hybrid working depending on your role. Really, they have done huge amount to promote people staying in the workforce and bringing additional diversity to the workforce. It really, really is impressive in my view.
Yeah. And I know the ambassador program, they provide funding to support and recognise top performers and female students entering STEM. That's huge.
In terms of getting females into STEM, like that all starts when kids are tiny. Yeah. It all starts with exposure in school and exposure at home. What you can do in a company to try and nurture it and to maintain it and bring it on and stop females leaving the workforce is amazing. Mm-hmm. But ultimately it starts in schools. It starts at science fairs, the science fair in NUIG, like exposure when you're small, and dream it. If you dream it, you can be it. Just go for it. And and they're teeny tiny. That's when you got to get to them.
And I think TE is doing great work.
Absolutely.
Showing them, as you said, what can be done. It's important to pick the right subjects then.
Yeah.
To know what's important if you want something, that you're not limiting yourself earlier in life as well.
Another part of education that we actually didn't speak about was the educational assistance program as well, which is a huge one.
Absolutely.
Within TE at the moment, that there's a huge drive as well and a big support there for people within TE to go on to further educate themselves through various different colleges, and they will fund that depending on business needs. So could it be in any of the areas, engineering, quality, management, and that's a massive benefit for people who are already in certain roles, that they have that opportunity to up their skills and educate themselves. And could be degree level, master's level, any level really, and they're supporting that throughout the last few years, which is a massive benefit as well.
And that's probably really used. Colleen, you spoke about, a lateral move, if you wanted to educate yourself in another area of the business. Yeah. Because it's not necessarily a step up, taking a step back to kind of get into that. I think people sometimes have to realise that That's an important step of your development as well.
You know, we're the advocates for it within our roles, to be advertising that and making sure that our people in our teams know about this, you know, and that we're saying this is available to us. Why not? Go for it.
Yeah.
It's there for the taking. It's just waiting.
Yeah.
And that's just to make sure that people know it's there for them and that they have the opportunities if they want to grab them.
And that kind of goes back to, we spoke about mentorship, and they say that can be life-changing. And I think one of the stats is that over 30% of people remain in STEM if they have really good mentorship. There's mentorship programs within companies. That's something that you all do you, in your roles at the moment? And you probably have business coaches and mentors yourself. Is it TE yourselves, or is it globally that you kind of have people mentoring and helping you move to the next step?
So I've had a mentor within the company and a coach external to the company, and it can be really, really good. It can. Some of your best learnings and some of the best nuggets you get, I find, are from people you've met along the way. So different people you've worked with in business. They may never have been a mentor, or people who have been your boss before. And, you know, I can think back over people I've worked with and for in my career. And, you know, there's a few people that I go, this person taught me that, and I will always carry it. And this person taught me that, and I will always carry that. Mentorship or not, but you carry some of those values through with you.
Yeah. I think it's kind of building the network around you rather than one specific mentor.
Yeah.
So I have a group of college friends, and I have friends that I've met along the way. And if I ever have a question like that, or if you just need inspiration from them sometimes before, you know, difficult conversations, you go and have a chat with them, and they'll kind of challenge you, they'll give you feedback. So it's more that network that you build up as you go.
Sounding board nearly sometimes.
Yeah, and you have a few of those grouped around you can just tap into and lean into when you need them.
And do you find yourself doing it with your team members then? Identifying maybe areas that they need support and mentorship with?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I think that's another thing in my honest belief and my firm belief that TE are really strong on development.
Okay.
And like development is always out there, and we're really encouraged to have like development conversations with our staff, and as a people manager to look out for things and to help and to promote development. And, you know, it's not always like, you know, go do a course on something. It's the smaller stuff. It's the softer stuff. There's somebody on my team who in the last year we kind of identified something, and I went actually to our training department and I went, do you have a mentor that I can link this person with where we can work on this? And it's not a flaw by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just something that we can grow, and a development that will bring you from great to even greater. So yeah, we do. Absolutely, there is a mentorship program, yeah.
And it can be informal, as you said. It could be just shadowing.
Oh, absolutely.
It could be just filling it out for a short time and something like that.
Or just a sounding board. Yes. I think everybody should have, if you can, a sounding board where something happens. They're not necessarily in your immediate group or in your immediate team, but it's really beneficial if you can find that person who is your sounding board. When something happens and you go, okay, I need to download, you know, help me process this, and you can process it out with somebody else, and then, you know, and then you go back and regroup. But I think it's really beneficial if you could find that it only needs to be one person, but you should find yourself a sounding board, yeah.
We talk about leadership qualities, and we spoke about the values of TE and your own core values. Like, as a leader in STEM, what qualities do you believe are most important, Connie?
I think empathy, leading with empathy, is very important. To step into people's shoes and to have an understanding of where they're coming from. Lead with empathy always. Being very adaptable and flexible as well is important. No one day is the same for any leader. You can come in and you can be fired for the day, or, you know, so every day is different. So you have to be able to adapt and be agile as you go.
Anything you'd add to that, Marilyn?
I suppose for me, communication would be one of the biggest ones. Bringing in the teams and the cross-functional teams that you're working with on a daily basis, and being able to effectively communicate with all of those different people, different personalities, different levels as well, and being able to bring those teams together and communicate with them that you actually are all moving towards the one direction, towards the one goal. I found that is probably one of the most important and challenging skills that I've had to develop over the last 6 years, and is still developing. You're never there. You always have to keep, you know, upskilling with that and learning from the people that you're working with and gaining new skills through other people as well. So that would be definitely one of my ones. And
you probably have a lot of diversity in your team.
Absolutely.
So the different types of communications is important to...
Absolutely, yeah. It's different. You have to adapt to the people that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And that's when you become knowledgeable and you get better at your job as well. You do have that understanding and that empathy, like Colleen just said, and that you're able to communicate more, you know, effectively and when you have that understanding, you can adapt more quickly, you know, to the people that you're speaking with, and you can understand their situations better. And definitely from a teamwork perspective, you can bring teams together in a more effective way, quicker and more effectively. So
communication, agility, empathy.
I would add being open and being honest with people. I would be a relatively open person. Be yourself. Most importantly, be yourself. We can go on training courses to improve maybe your presentation skills or whatever, but ultimately, if you be yourself through the whole process, that's when you're at your most natural, and that's when you will succeed, rather than trying to fit into what you believe should be the person that you're supposed to be in the role. Mm-hmm. Yourself is what got you there, so take yourself with you and be yourself through it all.
And I've definitely made that mistake in the past.
Yeah.
Trying to be something I think I should be, rather than...
And then you're uncomfortable and you don't succeed because you spend time pretending to be this. So be yourself, trust yourself that you're able for it, and just go for it.
Yeah, and I think they're probably your core values as your personal core values as well, because they can't be anything different, can they? When you're trying to lead someone, you've got to embrace them yourselves, and that's what comes out when you're leading. When you look at your career to date, I suppose we'll all look back and there'll all be time you'd love to erase that, but it was probably a big learning curve. Is there anything in particular that you look back on and say, if that didn't happen, or would I change that now?
I don't think I'd change it, to be honest, because, you know, as the saying goes, things happen for a reason. But I think you make decisions in your life, and it's the best decision that you can make at that point in time. Whether you'd still make the decision now or not is kind of irrelevant. At that point in time, that was the best decision for you, and you made it, and you go with it. So I don't think I'd change.
You learn something, don't you, though?
You do. That's where you grow, you know?
Yeah.
You make a decision. At one point in time, I changed role within the business, and within the first kind of week, I was like, what did I do this for? I was so outside of my comfort zone. And I genuinely was like, what did I do that for? Because I was happy in my job, and I didn't look for the change per se. I was happy, and an opportunity came up and I took it. And the first week, I genuinely sat there going, wow, really? What'd you do this for? But actually, I went to... As it turned out, there was an event at work, and I think it was a WIN, which is the Women in Networking event, and they had a panel of leaders at the time. They asked everybody possibly a similar question, and I remember one person's answer was around, you know, something to do with possibly regrets or something. And their answer was like, well, it's only when you're outside of your comfort zone that you actually grow and that you learn. So... And it was how they succeeded, actually. That's what it was how did you succeed? And that person said that they constantly put themselves out of their comfort zone. And they constantly challenged themselves and moved roles and moved around. And I sat there, and it was within the first week, and I sat there going, okay, maybe that wasn't a huge mistake. And and I certainly wouldn't change it now, because you do grow. But it was the right person, right time, I think, in terms of addressing my immediate concerns for being out of your comfort zone. But that is where you grow.
Yeah.
And take the chance.
Identify the area that was normal for this.
And it was normal. Situation. And actually, look at that person. They've done really well. So there you go.
Anything that you can think of, Marilyn? Honestly, there's nothing that I would change either. I think moving into TE was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life to date. So it was a huge eye-opener for me that these things were available to me, and I could actually have a career and a clear path in that. So I wouldn't change anything in that respect. Possibly, maybe if I was looking back really critically, I'd say I probably should have challenged myself earlier in my journey, you know, and I could have been further along the journey. But we're getting there, and I'm learning now that I do, as you said, Deirdre, to be challenging yourself and putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and that's how we learn and how we grow. Would you agree with all that, Candy?
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything either. That's your story, and they're the decisions you've made.
Absolutely.
That's your, and I hate to use the word, but that's your journey.
Yeah.
You know? So if you change one or two things, then your path will be completely different again. So they were the right decisions at the right time, I think.
And as women leaders, you've never felt that those opportunities weren't available to you. Felt that you put yourselves out there for every opportunity that was available. They came along the way at the right times.
Yeah, I don't see gender. Genuinely, when I'm at work, I don't see gender. You sit in meetings sometimes and it's all men in the room, and then you physically see gender. But when somebody on my team, let's say, comes into me, I don't see gender. I see a person, and I see a role, and I see a job and execution. I think that sometimes maybe women aren't in the roles because of circumstance rather than because of ability. So traditionally, you know, I have to go at 5:15 every day to pick up my kids because that's the phase of my life. So my circumstance dictates that I'm going home every day. So sometimes maybe women don't get the opportunities, but that's also a choice that I have made. But it's not because of my ability, it's because of my circumstance right now. So no, go for it. Why would you go for it? You know, we're just as able as everybody else. So it's...
And I think it's probably because when you look at the numbers of 20 years ago, there was 32,000 graduates in STEM. Now there's almost 70,000. Like the numbers are growing. Yeah. So because of that, there is going to be more gender balance because more females are entering those jobs that weren't doing it maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
We're breaking down those barriers as well. Every year there's more and more work being done. Even this platform today, this podcast, we're breaking down more barriers because we're there, we're visible, we're speaking about it. And the more of these things that happen, the more it will improve.
I genuinely think it's not that women didn't want those positions, just there wasn't enough there to get those roles down the line. What advice would you share with our listeners about pursuing a career in STEM, or maybe younger people that are unsure of what a career in STEM would look like for them?
Just go for it.
That's it.
Yeah, it is. Go for it. I wouldn't pick a career based on gender. If we're speaking to the female members of society, like, don't pick a career based on gender. Pick a career based on what you love, what your abilities are, and just go for it. Just do it. There's no gender in career. There's no career better for each gender. Just go for it. Do it.
Absolutely. Women are so capable as well. They have so many skills that they need to utilise and have that confidence in themselves that, why can't I do it? Why can't I be in that top job? Absolutely well able for it, you know? It's to have that belief in themselves and take the opportunity and go for it. Simple as that, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The opportunities are there if you look for them.
I think it's asking and educating yourself on what different careers are out there, what subjects you need and all that kind of thing. And I think if that's brought more forefront, it'll bring more people into it as well.
A lot of it comes back to school.
Yes.
It does. It comes back to what's in schools and what kids are being taught or what they're exposed to. Or, you know, as parents, I think you have a responsibility to take gender out of it, you know. I have a little girl and a little boy, and there's no difference in terms of what they're exposed to.
I think the more females we have in leadership, the better too, because if you can't see it, you can't beat. So if the representation is there and the top table and we're all there, there's females there, I think it's more attainable.
Yeah.
So females know it's attainable then, you know.
And not just females, diversity across the board.
Absolutely.
You know, I think, as you said, if you see it, you can be it. Yeah, it's there for everyone. It's the right person for right jobs. We've spoken a lot about kind of your careers and the diversity and inclusion and the different incentives that TE are doing, which is brilliant to see. And it's great to see, as Deirdre, you said, it's from the ground up. It's from early stages. It's education. It's just knowing more and bringing people into the workforce to show them what a day in the life can be is really good as well.
One other thing we did this year as a business, as a company, so we had a family day, which I'm 17 years there. We've never done it before, but we had a family day where we brought all of our families to work.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. So we have a new product development lab where we've anatomical models, and it exposed them to a little bit of what it is we do. From personal experience, I have a 6 and a 7-year-old at home, and mom's an engineer, but nobody, what's that mean? But they come into the lab and they put on a lab coat and they put on glasses, and they really, you know, they touched all our devices and they moved them and they put them into a heart, you know, a glass model of a heart, and they played with them. But so many kids came through the lab that day, and so many kids saw firsthand what it is we do. And it was, I don't know if you guys brought your kids in, but it was amazing. My kids are still talking about it. They loved the glasses and the lab coats. They were especially, but it was really good to, because kids don't know. Of course, they don't know what an engineer is. You know, they don't.
Types of engineers.
Yeah, of course.
To know what mom and dad do.
And to know, so they know what mom does every day. Yeah. And, you do this. And it was actually where I was working. And, like, you know, I brought them to my desk and stuff. But it was just really to get into the mind of a small person in school that this is what it's like.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But you're right, it starts there.
It does.
My 6-year-old, we took pictures of them using the model.
Yes,
They
printed
out the pictures, they brought them to school, like to write on the back exactly what they did. They told the class, they brought their glasses, the lab glasses in. It was a real success. You know, and that's where you start. You need to start when they're really young.
And that was one of the initiatives that was for improving engagement on the site and inclusion and diversity. And it just shows that it's such a simple thing like that, a family day, and organising it for our own employees can have a broad impact. Yeah. So that could possibly mean these children are now going to be engineers, and that's how it starts.
Lady wants to be an engineer, because now she has context.
She will or she won't, that's irrelevant, but
she has context on what it is.
But you know yourself, if you see something, touch something, make it real by a day like that, it means so much more to you.
The dream begins and the day starts.
Yeah, it is. No better way to end. Dream big. So no, I really enjoyed our chat. I hope you did too. There's so much great things going on in TE. Super leaders. And I can only see it going from strength to strength. So thanks so much for your time.
And thanks for having us. Thanks, thank you very much.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Greatness Has No Gender podcast with TE Connectivity. Next week, we're excited to welcome Maria Nuna-Shanahan and Deirdre Drennan from NCC Labels. If you liked today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Your support helps us share these inspiring stories and motivates more women and girls to follow their dreams in STEM. I want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, Finero, one more time, and until next time, remember to always follow your dreams.